Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maylene Call from Miss Call's Campers. If you're new here, I am a first grade teacher in Middle Tennessee, and I would love for you to join the family. So if you're not already, go ahead and click that red subscribe button down below, and let's get started. So today's video is going to be all about guided reading. Last time I did a guided reading plan with me, I got a lot of really great feedback from you guys, and you told me that you wanted more. Well, it's our first week coming back from break that I'm going to be doing guided reading. So it's been a minute since I've even made a guided reading plan because of that long winter break we just had. But I'm going to jump right in with you guys and kind of talk you through and explain my thinking through some of it, just to kind of help people out there who, you know, maybe want some new ideas. Maybe they're not sure what guided reading looks like. Maybe they do guided reading, but they want to see how somebody else does it. I just kind of want to share with you guys what I do and how I plan. So without further ado, let's jump in. The first thing I always have to get is my guided reading binder, which I am going to be putting up on Teachers Pay Teachers very soon for you guys, and my guided reading books. And I think the last time I did a guided reading plan with me, I kind of mentioned how I was transitioning from doing one book a week with each group. So if I have 5 groups, that's 5 books about, to 2 books a week per group. So most of my groups I meet with 2 times a week. My lowest group I meet with 3 times a week because they just need a little bit more. And so my highest group that I have, they only do 1 book a week because their books are so long that it takes them 2 days to get through the book. But for every other group, we're doing 2 books a week. So I'm gonna go ahead and start planning for my lowest group. That's my very first group. I have 5 groups currently. I did get to 4 groups in December, which is where I wanna be, but I kind of just thought about it, and I decided I was gonna make a separate group with 2 of my kids who I really, really wanna push. Instead of just putting them in a group where they might be able to fit. And if none of this makes sense to you right now, that's okay. I do want to go ahead and make like a full video kind of explaining guided reading. So if you guys have any questions about guided reading that you would love for me to answer in that video, please comment down below so that when I make this video, it's everything that you need as a teacher. And I do want to say, like, you know, me planning for guided reading, I'm a first year teacher. Yes, I did guided reading when I student taught, but the thing is, like, it's just something that every person works with. It's something that we all are kind of growing in all the time. There is no perfect way to do guided reading. There's no perfect you know, formula that you can follow, because all of your kids are going to be different every single day. So I just do everything I can for my kids, and that's all I can do. So let's hop into the planning. Please keep in mind that part of my guided reading binder has a section devoted to student notes. So every single day when I'm reading with my kids, I am taking notes on multiple kids and just noting things that they may be doing well, maybe things that they're struggling with, strategies that they're using, and this helps me so much for planning, especially coming off of a break. You know, I barely remember the last guided reading group I did. So I have a double page spread dedicated to notes. Unfortunately, I can't show you everything just because it has student names on it, but just know that throughout the video, if I refer to my notes, it's this, and I can't show you the exact spread. So these are the plans for the last guided reading group that I had with my group number 1. So I've denoted group number 1 here, and I'm covering up their names just for privacy. So the last thing we worked on was getting our mouth ready and understanding illustrations. These are the sight words we did last time and the new sight word that I taught. I always have to look back on my previous plans so I know kind of what I'm getting into this time around. So now I'm ready to start planning. So here's a fresh new blank sheet. It is going to be the week of January, I believe, 14 through 18, and I don't like the way this pen is writing. And this is going to be group number 1. So I have picked out 2 books for them already, so I'm really quickly just going to flip through those and see what we're working with. I don't remember because I picked these out before break, so I'm just going to really quickly go through. Alright, so I think I'm going to start with this book. I am doing, like I said, 2 books a week. So the first book I'm going to use for this group is The Boat Ride. So I'm going to go ahead and write that in. And then Fun at the Pool. Beautiful. Okay. So the reason I picked this one to do first is because the sentence structure is a little bit simpler, even though we have a new sight word. So each page in this book says the whatever animal got in the boat. So everything's the same on each page except for the animal. So for this, they're really gonna have to check their picture to figure out, you know, what the word is. So that's the reason I started with this book. Got is not a word that we have explicitly studied in our reading groups, but I'm gonna make sure it's the word I teach today. So for my sight word review, the last word I taught them was here. So I'm gonna review here just to see if they remember it. I'm going to review I wanna review is. So to introduce the book, basically, I always like to do some sort of picture walk. So I am gonna note picture walk, and what I'm gonna have them do is flip through the entire book, but not the last page. So we're gonna be flipping through all the pages in the book, and I'm gonna ask them to find certain words. So like I might ask them to stop, ask them what animal is getting in the boat, and they'll say rabbit. What is the first sound in rabbit? And then ask them to locate the word on this page. So I'm going to note in here rabbit, and that's all I'm really gonna do, because I want to see them not only looking at the pictures in the book and figuring it out, but I want them to cross-check what they think the letter is with the actual word. So that's the strategy that I'm gonna write down to preview for them. So after they get the word rabbit, I'm just gonna talk about cross-checking the picture with what the word is and making sure that it makes sense. So I am gonna start on the very first page of this book. That is page 2. So for my strategy goal, it's going to be, does it look, sound right? And for my comprehension goal, I think I am gonna focus on the last page of this book because like I said, they all end up falling out of the boat. I'm probably gonna ask about the last page, so we'll just focus on inferencing for my comprehension goal. Okay, so all of this takes place before the read, and then after the read we're gonna discuss. So most of the time when I'm in my groups, I know exactly what I wanna discuss because I watch them read, and I can tell, you know, if they have difficulties at certain parts, but just in case, I wanna have a backup always. So my teaching point and my strategy, we'll just say page 8, fox. And I'm basically going to repeat the same kind of steps, but just say, oh, I noticed on page 8 that when so-and-so got to this word, they weren't sure what it was. So what did you do? Oh, I checked the picture, and then I checked the words. Basically, I want them to tell me what they're doing. So that's what I'm looking for here. For my discussion, it is going to relate back to my comprehension goal. So I want to ask them on page 15 is where the mouse jumps in. It's the last animal before the boat capsizes. So I'm gonna ask about that page. What page was that again? 15. So I'm gonna say, what were you thinking on page 15, basically? Okay, so what? So we have greater conversations in our guided reading groups. This is just kind of a targeted question that I really want the answer to. So again, the new sight word that I wanna teach is going to be got, because it appears in their story over and over again. So we're gonna do got, and then for our word study, we're gonna do rhyme magic, and we're gonna focus on vowels. And I'm not going to do guided writing on this first day. I usually only do it one time a week, and that is on the second day. So the next time I see them, we're going to review the new word that I just taught them. So that is got. So I'm going to review got, I'm going to review here, and I'm going to review, let me look back at the words that I've taught them. Let's review light. And I'm doing that because in the book that we're reading today, it's gonna be all in there. Okay, so my new book, I'm gonna go ahead and flip through that one more time and think about what my readers might need to know. So on every single page it's saying something that they like to do in the pool, but it says in the pool, and then at the very end it says we like to jump, and most of them are probably going to say in the pool. So this last page is going to be really critical for me to see if they're following through in the whole word. So that's definitely going to be a focus for me, which is good because my strategy was, does it look and sound right? So that's going to tie in beautifully for this. And usually your strategies and your comprehension goals, that's something I'm focusing on for the whole week, just to make sure they really get it. So this works out great. Good job, Past Maylene, for picking this book. Okay, so my new vocabulary in this book, I don't think I have any. Probably on page, just to be safe during my picture walk, I'll probably ask them what are they doing on page 7, because I'm not sure if they know float. We'll see if they do. And then dive for sure I want to explicitly talk about. So yeah, everything else is pretty straightforward. So just pages 6 and pages 8 I want to make sure I talk about in my picture walk. I'm kind of going to do the same thing I did up here, where I show them the picture and then ask them what they expect to see. I'm going to preview my strategy again. I'm probably going to do it on the very first page. So we're going to say page 2, splash. I'm going to make sure I talk about the whole word. So I'm really going to have them stretch out the word with their fingers, talk about the beginning sounds, what did they hear in the middle, what did they hear at the end of the word. So I'm just going to do telling myself basically that I want them to sound it out. And then that'll help get them through the rest of the book, I hope. So for my teaching point, I do want to go back to this word into right here. So we'll just do into, and we'll talk about how it's different from everything else in the book. Again, if I don't find another thing that I want to notice in my groups as they're reading, this is what I'm kind of gonna go into. So for my discussion, I'm probably just gonna ask them what they think about the book and what they think about the boy and the girl, and you know, about their friendship. So I'm gonna keep it really simple. Hopefully they'll talk about their friendship. Maybe they're neighbors, maybe, you know, they're best friends. Try to get some inferences there. So my new sight word is going to be the word play. We'll do play. Again, for my word study, we're probably just gonna do rhyme magic. Again, focusing on the vowels, because I want to, like I said, I meet with this group 3 times a week. So next time I meet with them, I'll probably do a lot of like sound boxes and things like that. So for my guided writing, I think I'll actually do this sentence: we like to play in the pool. In guided writing for my lower groups, I tell them the sentence, we say it together. A couple of times we count the words in the sentence, we draw the lines, and then they point to the line, they say each word in the sentence. So they're gonna say, we like to play in the pool. So my first group is done. All right, so my next group is my group 2. Again, I'm gonna put the date. And I have these 2 books, Sam's Picnic and The Cookie. So they're both level D books. Sam's Picnic is a little bit more simple than The Cookie. The Cookie, the pages are slightly different. With Sam's Picnic, I think it's not so different. The layout of it is the same. Even the way the print is organized on the page, this is a lot easier for them to read. So I think for sure we're gonna start with Sam's Picnic. I'm looking back on the sight words we've done before, and I'm thinking we're gonna do, as far as introducing the book, I might ask them if they've ever been on a picnic before. But really, the front cover is gonna give us a lot of clues about what the story is gonna be about, because it's about this family who goes on a picnic, but then it rains, so they end up having a picnic in front of their television. Anyways, as far as my strategy goal for them solving words, they're good with checking the picture. I think I'm gonna work on chunking words. Picnic, basket, blanket, bingo. Yeah, I think we're definitely gonna do a chunky monkey, and I'll preview it. I might even do the word picnic. And we actually just worked on doing 2-syllable words with short vowels, so this is something that'll be really good for them. So as far as the comprehension goal, both of these books have a lot of text, so I kind of want to see if we can practice reading like the character. Let me check back my notes. Yeah, that'll be good. So after we read Sam's Picnic, I might, if I need to, go back to the word. How about we do, we'll just do bingo. That's the dog's name. Because they know ing says ing, so bingo. Then for my discussion, I asked them before about the picture walk what they thought was gonna happen. I think for this I might ask them maybe what they would have done, or what did they think of the ending. I'll say, what would You do. We'll talk about what they thought about the ending. And for a new sight word, let's see. Most of these sight words they have actually got a good handle on. Let's see if there's any in here I might want to preview for them. Usually I'll try to pick a word that's in the book, but I'm not sure I really need to. So I think for our new sight word, let's do didn't. For our word study, we'll do bright magic, and we'll do blends for this as well. Okay, and I'm not going to do guided writing on this day. For my next book, okay, for my sight word review, we're going to review didn't. We're going to review could. I'm thinking maybe saw. Okay, so I don't think there's any new vocabulary in here. Anthill is definitely new, but they can chunk that and figure it out. So I think again we're gonna focus on the front cover. So this is really my comprehension goal. We're reading like the characters, but they're also doing a lot of inferencing in here, and that's good too. So I think we'll talk again about the front cover. We'll for sure do a picture walk, and let me see how valuable these pictures are. Because sometimes the story, especially at this level, the pictures are gonna help readers a lot more than they will at the higher levels. I think for discussion I might focus on problem and solution. And then for my strategy that they're gonna use, again, they're probably gonna focus on chunking words, covering endings. So I'll probably say, what do I do if I don't know this word? And what I'm hoping they'll tell me is to cover up the ending, so I'll just circle that, and that'll kind of remind me of what I need to do. This is just kind of my shorthand, so this is me asking a question. For my teaching point, I think I'm probably going to point out, for this one I really kind of want students to be reading like the character. So I'm gonna go back here, make sure I mention read like the character, because that's my comprehension goal. And so when I'm talking to them after the book, I'll just be like, oh, I really love the way so-and-so read this page. Can you read this page for us again? And have them read with their character voice on. So that'll be good. We'll talk about the problem solution. I'm not going to teach a new sight word since I just taught one. So we're just reviewing these plus didn't. And for my word study, and then for my guided writing, let's see what they did last time. My groups are a little different, so I have to think a little harder. I'm thinking I want to use the word didn't. So they didn't have a picnic by the river. That might be good. River, and there's that ending on there too. We've been working on endings. So this should be good for my group number 2. So I'll grab another plan, and I believe these are the books. Yes, these are H books. Okay, and I picked them because they both have to do with pigs, so that works out. Now I'm gonna look through them and see which one I want to do first. I'm gonna start with my pet pig. And for the sight words, so for introducing the book, I might just talk about, this is actually really good because we're reading Charlotte's Web right now, and we're talking about Wilbur as a pet, so this will be fun. So for introducing the book, I'm pretty much just gonna say this little girl's name is Annie, and she has a pet pig named Blossom. We're gonna read about all the things Annie does to take care of Blossom. That sounds good to me. I might ask them what they think a pig needs, and then I think I'm gonna let them start reading. I don't wanna give them too much information right now. We might talk about page 5 before we read, and just talk about what that is and the labels and everything. I think we'll do that. We'll go to page 5 and we'll talk about the labels. And then at the end we can talk about why labels are important, like why it's important to know that Blossom is a teacup piggy and she's not a normal pig. Okay, so for my reading strategy, I think what I want them to do, I want them to focus on endings. There's lots of endings in this book. So I want to make sure they're going through the whole word when they read. So for this strategy, I think I'll go to page 4. And we'll talk about smaller and called. And then for discussing the strategy after their reading, I'll ask again really quickly about the labels. I'll point out a student who maybe got the word gently. That'll be a good one. Like I said, a lot of times when I'm reading with kids, at the end, if I notice one of them does something really well, I'll point that out as well. This is kind of just a backup, you know, just in case. So my new sight word that I want to teach, I think, let's see if there's anything in this one that I wanna, oh, the word happy's in here, that's good. I think we're just gonna teach the word about. For my word study, again, I'm gonna use my Rhyme Magic kit, and I'll talk about this in a video because I'm sure by this point you're curious. And we're gonna focus on endings. The next book, we've got A Pig with a Job. So we're gonna review about, we'll do that just in case. I might not need to. Okay, so I think I might introduce this one by saying pigs can be pets, but some pigs also have jobs. And then we might do a picture walk on this one. Actually, the pictures are not gonna help that much. So this pig's job is to help students talk. It's for kids who have a hard time making friends. And then I'll talk about Buttercup's job, so I'll make sure I tell them. So I'll tell them Buttercup, handler's name, and then I think we'll talk about text features again here. I'm just gonna ask them how the text features in this book help them understand. And then for my word solving strategy, I think we might focus on endings again. We'll go back to page 8 and talk about the endings on page 8. For my new sight word, again, I'm not gonna teach it, we're just reviewing these. And then for my word study, we're gonna do Rhyme Magic again, focusing on endings. And for my writing, what I'm thinking is I might have them do 2 sentences. I might have the first sentence be, pigs can make people happy. And then they tell me the next one. So maybe, I think I'll just say you. Pigs can make you happy. They can, and I'll have them fill it in. And I'm just now realizing I forgot to put my comprehension goal, understanding text features. I said it, I just forgot to write it. So that's my H group. Okay, so my next group is just 2 students who I really want to push. One of them, like I said, she's an I, but she's a really high I, and my other one is a level J, and this is a level J book. So this one might be a tad bit easy for my kiddo who's a level J, but I kind of want to see what he does because I'm not sure he knows too much about planes, so that in itself might make it a little bit difficult. So we're going to go ahead and fill out all this. So this is a little bit different for this plan because these longer books, they're going to take my kids more time to read, so we're going to come up with a stopping point. So I'm going to look through right now and think of a good stopping point. I think I'm gonna pick this page right here. I think this is a good stopping point where the little boy feels scared. So I'm gonna say that's page 8. So I'm just gonna write it here, page 8. And we're gonna talk about planes to introduce this. So I'll just say, actually, you know, I think I'm gonna say we're gonna stop at page 10. We'll do that. We'll do page 10. And we're gonna talk about, I'm thinking page 7, engines. I'm not sure they're gonna know that word. I'll talk about, so I think, yeah, I'll just talk about planes in general. So I'll talk about Kel is riding a plane for the first time. I'll ask them if they know anything about planes, and we'll talk about how the engines are loud. The word engines is in here. We'll talk about how you need a ticket to get on the plane. We'll talk about how there's people who kind of take care of you on the plane, and they're called the cabin crew. I'll say page 4 because I'm not sure they're gonna understand the concept of going to a gate. And basically I'm just looking for things that are gonna help them while they read so they don't get tripped up on things that I think they might not know. So for my readers, I think I want them to, I think we're gonna focus on chunking. So find part you know. So that might be, you know, they get to doorway, they could chunk doorway, or they might know the word other in another. They might know airport. So there's lots of different words in here they can chunk. I think I'll just talk about page 2 and we'll talk about another. They should know the word other. And then they're going to read to page 10. I also want this group to really practice paying attention to the periods and the commas and the bold words and really reading it the way the author intended it to be read. So we'll do punctuation, reading, just to help me remind them that I want them to read things a certain way. So I'll probably model that for them in here too. So for my comprehension goal, we'll say maybe like a text to self talking about how they would feel if they were Kel, some of the things he felt. Why do you think he felt scared? We'll do inferencing with these babies. Oops, inferencing. Why can't I write? Okay, so for this, I want to point out how one of them read. So maybe I'll talk about, I think there's a bold word, yeah. Page 4. This is a really big sentence right here. It starts at he and ends way down here. I think I'll talk about this and talk about how that's one big sentence and making sure they don't pause at airport. So sometimes, because it's on a separate line, they might be tempted to say he had been to the airport lots of times to look at the planes, but he had never been on a plane before. So I want to get them practicing looking for that punctuation and kind of understanding that. So for my discussion, I'll talk about Kel's feelings, and we'll do inferences. I try to keep this pretty broad. And then for my word study with them, we are gonna do, you guessed it, rhyme magic. And that's why I love this kit so much, is because it goes through, you know, all different levels, and there's just a ton of things you can do with it. So I know this doesn't make sense to you right now, but I really love it, and I really love what it's been doing with my kids. So we'll do rhyme magic, and then on day 2, we're gonna finish our book. Before we read, we're gonna talk about, again, Kel's feeling, and let's see if there's any words I need to preview. This word, it might seem difficult, but we are working with rhymes, so I want them to know that this says on, so they should say k, on, tr, control, alls, controls. Try their vowel sounds. I really want to see if they can figure this word out. Okay, and I think I'm just gonna let them go at it. I think I'm gonna let them jump right back in. So for my teaching point, I'm gonna remind them chunking. Day 2, I kind of like to be a little bit more loose with my kids who are reading at a higher level. I don't want to give them as much support before, because I'm just really curious to see what they do in the book. So we're gonna talk about chunking again. After they read the book, we'll talk about, I think, page 16. I want to hear them read this again, because there's a lot of emotion in this little section right here. So I want them to read that like the character. So we'll do page 16. And then for discussion, I think we'll talk about maybe how the character changed, because at first Kel was really nervous. So we'll talk about, well, for guided writing for my higher groups, we usually plan out something and then they write it. So I'm thinking we might do maybe like a T-chart and do the beginning and the end and talk about how he felt at the beginning and then how he felt at the end, and maybe what changed that is what they're gonna write about. So that'll be good for this group. Okay, last plan. All right, I'll go ahead and fill this out once again. All right, let's take a peek at this book that I haven't looked at since before winter break. Ooh, okay, we have a table of contents. Ooh, lots of text features, okay. That's probably gonna be a focus, is using text features to help us understand the book and get more information. So I think we'll go for stopping on page, let's see, how many pages are there? 16 pages. I think I'll have them stop on page 7, so that means they'd read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I'll have them stop here, so they'll stop on page 9 on the very first day. And this is gonna be really great. Okay, I'm excited. Page, what did I just, Tessa, leave it. My dog is trying to eat a candle. Okay, so we're gonna talk about this animal. I'm gonna ask them if they know what it is and probably show them another picture of it that you can actually see the animal right here. I think when I introduce this book, I'm gonna go for the table of contents. So I'm gonna talk about the table of contents. My kids know what a table of contents is and how it helps them, but this is gonna help me introduce text features. So I'm gonna have them open up to page 2, talk about the different text features they see. I'll tell them this book is about a red panda named Rusty, and then I'll just give them a heads up on some vocabulary. So we'll do, I will point out Washington, D.C., because I guess that's where he went to. So we'll talk about Washington, D.C. on page 2. There is a lot to talk about on page 2. Maybe page 6 exhibit. This might be a good teaching point too. For my teaching point, we are definitely going to work on text features. As far as solving words go, I want them to focus on checking the middle and the end of the word to figure out words. We'll do that. I think we'll talk about page 4, the word mystery, because my kids know ST, they know that blend, they know ER says and they know Y at the end of the word says E, so they should know st, E. We should be able to figure that out together. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the word mystery and encourage them to check the middle and the end of the word to try to figure it out. So for reviewing the teaching point, we might do the word happened. And then for my discussion, we're going to talk all about the text features in this book. So I'm going to ask them which text features they thought were helpful. What are some of the text features you saw in this book? What are some ways the author used text features? So we are just going to go straight for text features because there's so much to talk about. Oops. And then for my word study, make a big word. For day 2, they're gonna finish the book. I'm gonna remind them about the text features and that I want them to check the middle and the ending of the word. So we'll talk about, let's see. For day 2, we're gonna talk about what the problem was in this story. I'll make a note to mention the problem or the mystery that they were solving. So here I want to review what was the problem or the mystery, and then I'm gonna tell them that the mystery is gonna be solved. Actually, I might have them refer back to the table of contents. Yeah, we'll go back to that. And I'll just see what they noticed about it. So what page? Let's see, 14. Okay, mystery solved. Yeah, perfect. For my teaching point, I'm going to remind them to check the middle and end of the word. I don't know why I put a slash right there. It's going to be okay. Check middle, end. And I don't think I'm going to need to reteach these guys. I don't think I'm going to need to show them another example. After they finish, I think we'll talk about page 15. Because there's this whole explanation on how Rusty escaped. And then there's a visual that goes along with it. So I think that's going to be an important thing to talk about and make sure that they really understood. And then for my teaching point, we talked about the middle and the end of the word. We might do page 16, the word solved. But our main focus is going to be on page 15. So for our writing, I might say, I think we might do a problem solution. Because this whole book talks about the problem and then how they solved it. So I think we might do problem, and we'll write down some keywords that we talk about together, and then we'll talk about an event that happened, and then we'll talk about the solution, and we'll do all this together. We'll write down some keywords, and for their writing I might give them the book to use certain words, because I feel like they might want to flip back through the book. So I don't think I need to give them any words ahead of time, write them on my whiteboard, because I think they're going to be able to look in the book. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, so for my comprehension goal, we're going to do understanding text features, and that is my last plan. Alright you guys, thank you so much for watching. I know I'm wearing a different shirt. That's just because I actually went to my sister's after I made the first plan, but I hope this video was helpful to you guys. I like doing guided reading plan with me's, and I hope that I explained things enough for you guys. Again, I do want to do a whole video dedicated to guided reading, answering maybe some of the questions you guys have. I am absolutely not an expert, but I might be able to help you or get you going in the right direction. Guided reading is my favorite part of my day. So hopefully if you're studying in your classroom, you'll really like it too. But if you need anything, I'm here for you always. Make sure you hit that like button so other teachers can find this, and hit that subscribe button if you are not already part of our family. We would love to have you. I post weekly teacher vlogs, teacher tip videos, and I do live chats with you guys too here on YouTube. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. I also am going to do a video on Rhyme Magic. I know I referenced that a lot in this plan with me, but I really love it. It's a kit that I purchased on my own, and that I think makes a really big difference to young readers.